You know, watching that ending again, I realized I should have had Repair say, at least he's honest in French. Do you agree? You think what should have been English? Uh, I don't know. There's no subtitles in the film, and I love subtitles. And I think if he'd said it in French and Tony hadn't heard him, like didn't know that that's what he said, I wonder if it would have made that more credible. Should I go back and change that? He's off screen. Like I have him in soft focus, and he turns sideways and says it. Yeah, I should call Eric and say, hey, he's a fluent French speaker. He's from France, so I'm gonna go do that now. It's so great to be back in Toronto. I really love that they're screening it in this theater. It's such a gift. It's strange. In such a short amount of time, I went from like sneaking into movies in this exact theater during the festival. I have a great story. I was back. Everybody here goes to TIFF. Like, those tickets are so brutal, and they're getting like more expensive all the time. And of course, I'm a film student, and so what my friends and I would do is when they were cleaning the theaters in between, and they would clean them so quick. And this was before there was assigned seating. I guess the festival, maybe they don't even do assigned seating in theaters like this now. And we would hide we would come in and be like, oh, we forgot something. And then we would lie down in the back row so that no one could see us. And then as they let people in, we would stand up and sit down as though we were meant to be here. So I've spent hours over the last 20 years lying on the back row of this exact theater waiting for some nonsense movie to start. You watch it for like 5 minutes, you're like, oh my God, you get up and leave. This is so stupid. I also really wanted this movie to play at the festival because I thought it would have been so, I'd never had a film play at TIFF before, and it just seemed appropriate, the timing was right, but it wasn't my choice. I wish we had done that. We wouldn't be here right now if it had been this way. And I'm extremely happy with how A24 is releasing the film, but it's too bad. I think it would have been a good movie to screen at the festival this year. Did they have any good premieres? Does anybody know? Yes? What did we get? Huh? Being Human? Who directed that? Oh, the director of Coda. That's how I knew about Amelia Jones, who I love. She's a dear friend. I think she's unbelievable. Oh, that's great. Okay, so this is the follow-up to the Oscar winner. Better be good. Better be good. As you can see, I really prepared a lot for this. I'm in the midst of shooting a new movie right now in Toronto, set in 2015. And so, just like every project I do, it's like my friends and I finished this movie in like kind of May or June of this year. And then the same thing happened with Nirvana the band. As soon as they're done, it's like I get sucked into some new reality, and that's all I can think about. And so revisiting this movie after the fact, I know it's brand new and it's not even really out yet, but for me, I'm like, this movie is like 10 years old. I don't even remember what happened when we shot it. But I will do my best to answer any question that you have. And I said this before, I was in Los Angeles and I did a Q&A, and I was like, this is the only Q&A that's ever gonna happen. I came here and I was told with very few words that I was going to do 2 more Q&As, and this is the last one, and so hopefully, I'm being honest when I say this is the last Q&A for this movie ever, so we better make it count. So if you have any questions, I can't actually see if you're up there, so I might have trouble pointing at you, but you right in the front. And you should shout your questions too, because this theater's so big.
This is your first film working without cinematographer. How was that relationship working with Michael? Did anything change?
Okay, you know what, I'll just repeat the question, that's probably easier. My cinematographer for every movie I've ever made is Jared Rabb, and here I'm working with the greatest. He's shooting the movie we're making now, and I thought what your question was. You were like, this is the first movie you've made with Jared Rabb. Has that relationship changed since you decided to not make a movie with him? No, it was about the process of working with Michael Bauman, who's a genius and shot this movie. And I would love to say that it was a totally deliberate decision where I was like, oh no, I want to do something strictly different. A lot of it had to do with the fact that I was moving into an American system and working, not that I didn't have the same amount of control, but it was just very, very different. And what I'll say is that it forced me to start thinking about what's happening inside the shot so much more than I had before, because I kind of leave all of that thinking to Jared. Like in all of our films, we shoot them like fake documentaries, and so in some ways, it like you can't try to tinker with it too much because then it all just becomes fake. Whereas here, this might get too technical, but I'm trying to never remind the audience that you're watching a movie. Whereas all my other movies are intentionally letting you know you're watching a movie, and we try to play games with that. Like a kid, telling you a joke and reminding you that it's a joke over and over and over again. Whereas here, we had to do the exact opposite, and Bauman is the king at that, at just creating images that you get lost in, that have so much nostalgia. And really, this film shot very, very fast. I think it was 27 days total. And for comparison, Nirvana the band, we shot for 200 days. And so it meant that the process needed to totally change. Like we needed to have the beautiful shots that I could hold on the actors for as long as possible, and then get out of them and move on. But I loved it. I loved it. I hope to work with Mike again. I cried when we left. We were the only two people who cried. Everybody else was happy. Yes. You know what? How about you? Way at the back. I can see your hand, but I can't really point at you. You're right in the middle, right there? Yeah, yeah.
I want to know, when you were in Provincetown, did you hear any stories about Bourdain that you liked, but you didn't really have enough time to adapt in the movie?
Yeah, I moved to Provincetown at the end of March to start writing the movie based on the people that I met. Because I never, all my movies are set in Toronto or thereabouts, and so I have an understanding of like what the place is like, what the people are like. Like I just kind of, I just didn't need to imagine it. And here I was like, oh man, I better not get this totally wrong, and just arrive on day one and hope to get it. And so, but that's not your question. Here's what I heard. Okay, I became, I won't say friends, but the person who talked to me the most and gave me the most insight was a guy named Larry Luster, who owns Ciro and Sal's, which is an Italian restaurant that's quite popular. And in the movie, you see him. I don't know if you remember, but you remember when Leo Woodall and Stavros are saying, okay, we're gonna take this kid out with us, and they're going, come on, Larry, and Tyrone says, no, he's not coming. Like, you can't bring him with you. Those are real brothers who worked with Anthony Bourdain at Ciro and Sal's, and Larry was just a dishwasher back then. And then he stayed working there and then bought the restaurant when it went up for auction because the real Ciro, I mean, I don't want to get into his business, but he had some problems. And so now he owns the place, and he could just tell me everything. Like, he was there when Bourdain had his first day. He would talk about the way that he would chop onions, the kind of exaggerations and lies that he told to avoid getting in trouble or to avoid seeming like he didn't know what he was doing. So a lot of that inspired what you see in the film, but in terms of stories that I would have heard that I liked but couldn't put in the film, those don't really exist. I tried to put everything that I thought was interesting in the movie. The stuff that I couldn't really get at is how influential those people were in terms of Bourdain's writing style, specifically that guy Howard Mitchum, who I don't think gets enough love in the movie, although I tried. That cookbook that Bourdain uses to make that clam bake, that is from what was once a lost cookbook called the Provincetown Seafood, I think it's just called the Provincetown Seafood Cookbook, and it's written by a local guy named Howard Mitchum. And if you could get your hands on a copy of this book, it was actually reissued by a Provincetown bookstore called Tim's Used Books with a new intro from Anthony Bourdain, and it was the last thing that Tony wrote before he died. It's like his last piece of professional writing. And if you can find a copy of that cookbook, read just even 10 pages. And if you squint, you're like, oh, I'm just reading Kitchen Confidential, this is crazy. Like, it's actually remarkable how the ease at which Mitchum talks about culture, family, food, and friends, while just telling you the recipe for how to cook something, totally transforms into Bourdain's laid-back writing style. But yeah, that's a very difficult thing to capture because I didn't want to put Howard Mitchum in the movie, and Antonio Banderas is kind of playing a collision between Howard Mitchum as a persona and someone that Bourdain would meet later in his life, his first boss, a guy that he refers to as Bigfoot. You guys read Kitchen Confidential? Anybody in here? Do you guys know the people I'm talking about? Yeah. One of the things that we realized we needed to do in the movie is not make it just about this one summer, because in real life Bourdain was there for 3 years, 3 summers in a row. And so we sort of looked at the whole moment of him being 15 all the way to him being about 25 and tried to compress all of those big moments into this one summer. And so I think a lot of people see this movie and say, it was such a good decision to just make it this tiny slice of life, but we cheated like crazy. This is actually 10 years of this guy's life, all just condensed into one summer. So yeah, you at the front.
Hi, I was just wondering, during filming, did you find yourself relating to any of your personal hobbies, kind of like expressed through moments of like creative like stuff or like anything like that?
Okay, he was asking if this movie is in some ways me referencing things that I like my own hobbies, or if this is way more personal than it seems, and the answer is 100% yes. The origin story of this movie is not that I was interested in Anthony Bourdain and thought about writing an Anthony Bourdain movie. There was already a script written, and it was presented to my producing partner Matt Miller and I, and it was only when I met Dominic Sessa and he and I talked about what our shared adolescence experience was like that I decided, I think this is what the movie should be about. The sort of the commonalities between Dom, me, and Anthony Bourdain, the things where we went through something similar or saw something similar, specifically around role models and what it meant to look up to somebody in a way where they have a good side and a bad side, and you, without even meaning to, you end up becoming them. And nobody knows but you. And that was something that Dom and I both really found interesting, because you look at Anthony Bourdain as a young man and you read his writing, like from his journals, or even just look at his school assignments, you're like, this is not the same guy. In the same way that none of us are the same as we were when we were 15 years old. And there was something about that just felt very personal to us. Yes?
So going from Nirvana, which you, of course, been working with on and off so many years, to Tony, did you find that this was a moment of like real refreshment, something approaching something new and kind of, kind of a departure from something you've been working on so long, or have you been someone who's really been a fan of Bourdain for a long time, but Confidential in the past, or was this kind of a new approach?
This question was whether or not I was a fan of Bourdain before, and if making a movie in this style was refreshing, or I mean, I'll auto-complete this because you didn't say it, or if it was hell. And it was hell. I found it very challenging working in America with people I didn't know. I mean, it was all my fault. It has nothing to do with them. The people who made this movie are unbelievable. They won multiple Oscars. This crew that we had was incredible. I had a lot of trouble adapting to that system where I couldn't say things like, I know we're supposed to shoot this, let's instead move the entire thing and go shoot that over there. You can't do that when you're working with adults. You get in big trouble for even suggesting it. And did I have any relationship with Anthony Bourdain before? No, none whatsoever. And I'm telling you, as a filmmaker, I think that is one of the things that I use as a tool in the same way I knew nothing about BlackBerry or telecommunication or really even technology companies before I made that movie. I try to make movies about things that I can be curious about from the point of view of an audience who is sitting down in the theater being like, okay, so what is this? And I think that my job is to try to find the thing that interests me in the lives of these people or these subjects, and then bring it to others in the most simple, this is not a this is an uncomplicated telling of somebody's life, where if you got a real Anthony Bourdain fanatic to make this movie, it would bear no resemblance to this. And I'm sure, for better and worse, I bet you there's people, maybe even in this audience, who love Anthony Bourdain so much and they see this movie and they're like, what? That was like nothing. Like nothing even happened. Like it wasn't enough to it. But what I try to do is find things I'm curious about and then pretend that I'm watching the movie for the first time. And that's, yeah, we'll see. That technique will run out of luck eventually, but maybe with the Magic Card movie. Yes. Yeah.
What scene was the most difficult to shoot?
The question was, what was the hardest scene to shoot? So you remember at the end of the movie where they do that clam bake, and from the moment that Leo Woodall and Dom are on the beach, like digging the holes, right to the very, very end, when Dom takes the money jar, puts it back on the table, that entire 10-minute run of the movie we shot in one day. And it was the craziest day of my life. Every single one of those lines that the actors say, like Amelia Jones walking up and asking those questions, Dom looking at her, Antonio Banderas seeming so relaxed as he walks down the beach, every single one of those is a single take. And so if you're a filmmaker, like that, I'm sure that sounds insane. But nobody ever does things like that, but that's just what we did because the weather was what it was, the sun was so beautiful, and that's all the time we had. So that was extremely hard. But other things that were like complicated technically were the things in the kitchen. You've got all those guys, everybody's improvising with one another. We're shooting on so many cameras and trying to capture everything. That was hard, but not in the same way. Not in the same way. The hard stuff is always when it's technically complicated and the filmmaking is getting in the actor's way. That's when it's hard, because you just feel bad and everybody's such a genius and you're like, oh man, I want to do another take with Leo so he can try something. And you just have to say no. That's awful. I hope it never happens to you. Yeah. If you're wearing something interesting, I need you to know you look like just a straight silhouette to me. Like you look like you're appearing to me in a nightmare. Hold on. Oh, so your clothes were meaningless? Why did everybody laugh? Because you stood up?
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one.
Okay.
I just want to say three things. One is a compliment to your questions. The first thing is, I had no idea who you were 3 months ago, but I talked about you now.
I hear this a lot. Yeah.
It is a miracle that, like, this city has you, and
Whoa. I'm too shy. I'm too shy.
yeah, but okay, anyway, so my first question is, I noticed a lot of like literature kind of underlying many works of yours, and I was gonna ask, how does literature and like the trope of the anti-hero influence your creative process?
I'm not, you know what, I'm not sophisticated enough to know what the notion of like an anti-hero and how that would help me in terms of my writing, but I read books all the time, and I would say specifically the author who most helped me with this movie was John Updike. I was reading, when I was very, very first kind of putting the movie together, I was reading, I think, The Coup, and then I started reading The Witches of Eastwick, which is set in Rhode Island, and that was a huge influence on me. And a lot of the lingo that Bourdain himself uses in this movie are things that I would read in books and get interested in and be like, oh wow, oh yeah, what a cool word, or like in the same way that he does. But yeah, I think that the real secret of filmmaking, and Stanley Kubrick seemed to know this, is less, at least for me, is less about watching movies and more about reading books. And I don't know why that is, but that was a real moment that changed my life when I decided I was going to start reading.
Very special. My second question, this is my best friend in the whole wide world. She's like my jaybird.
Uh-huh.
She's a filmmaker. She makes really good movies, and she's also a writer.
And she's shy.
And she's shy. And shy of her.
Yeah.
And she wrote this epic script called Built.
Let's go through it from the very first page right now.
So this is actually more of a question for Jane Carroll, who's not here, but
Oh, you want him to act in it? Oh, yeah, sure. Email us Zapruder Films and I'll send it to him. He'll be flattered. And he wants to act in things like this, and yeah, that's the perfect title for him. He may be slightly offended, but yeah, email it to Zapruder Films. Yes.
Hi, first of all, thank you. That was beautiful. I had a very emotional experience there. Any part of the process like completely surprised you?
This question was any part of this completely surprising to me? Well, I don't know. Like I don't know what a movie's about as I'm making it. You know what? I'll tell you something that I didn't realize I was doing, but did surprise me now that the movie is done. And it was this. The people who've read Kitchen Confidential, maybe you can relate to this. When people found out that I was making this movie, the number one thing everybody asked me was, are you going to put in that scene where the cook has sex with the bride on her wedding night? And I was asked about it enough that I started feeling like almost repulsed by this. Because at first you hear something like that and you're like, oh yeah, cool, people like that, I'm going to do it. And then you get asked the 100th time by somebody whose eyes seem so big and desperate, like, you're going to do the thing where the guy has sex with the bride, right? And I started feeling a kind of sickness, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, like, yeah, I guess I will put this in the movie, but I somehow the whole movie kind of winds up becoming an inversion of that symbol, as Bourdain himself is now faced with, okay, now you can have this kind of meaningless sex with the girl that you've been in love with. Like, congratulations, you tricked her. You get to have sex with her now. And then he is sickened by that thing that at the beginning of the movie he was like, oh, this is the coolest thing in the world. And I think that really surprised Dom and I, because we did not intend for that to happen in the movie. Like, that wasn't written originally. And so seeing that thing that everybody was telling us, that's the thing. And even Bourdain himself, in the book he writes, that's the moment I decided I wanted to be a chef. When I saw that, I can't explain it, but there was something about it where I thought that the movie needed to rotate around that in a way. And I don't even mean that in a moralizing way, because I think both sides are right. In the same way that I think Leo Woodall is not, I mean, his character is probably lying dead in a ditch 2 years after this movie ends, but I still love him, and I agree with him. And I think that he's an essential role model for Anthony Bourdain, in the same way that this failing, you could almost say loser chef who has principles and dignity and grace, but is not living in a way that's making the world necessarily as good as it could be. Like, they're both right and they're both wrong, and I felt the same way about that image of this bride, like, breaking her vows the moment she made them. So yeah, but that surprised me, but maybe that's not exactly what you meant. Okay, you with the headphones around your neck.
So you opened the film with that quote from Kitchen Confidential about like Anthony Bourdain being like a good ass kicking musician. He also said, like, not in Kitchen Confidential, but something about like everyone needing that moment in their life where they need like a good ass kicking. So I was wondering if like at any point in your journey as a filmmaker and actor.
Yes, what happened to me? This question was like, what was the ass kicking that I got in my own life that turned me into Anthony Bourdain? I guess I'd have to start going by Matthew. Look, I think that what he's referring to is a rite of passage, and I think that is something that everybody needs to go through. What was mine? I don't know. It was not making this movie, but it certainly felt like it. It was probably making that movie Operation Avalanche. That was like the lowest my life has ever been. Thank you. It's being reissued in 4K by Lionsgate, I think, in 2 months. I just had to write a letter for it. So yeah, that's what it was. To you guys leaving, do you guys have a question before you go? You sure anything? Oh, you're welcome. How have you been? Yes, the first oyster I ever had when I was a kid, I was afraid of them. I thought they were so weird, and the idea that they were alive, I couldn't do it. I was not adventurous either. And then when I had to make this movie, I bought an oyster shucker from Anchor on Roncesvalles, and I started teaching myself how to shuck oysters, and I ate them, and I think they're amazing. But I can only eat the small little ones. because the big ones is too disgusting. They're so big and slimy. Oysters you go anywhere around here. You'll be fine. Yeah, the closest place is probably Rodney's, but I bet you the people here know better than me. Oyster Boy? Yeah, I like Oyster Boy. I have a family connection to that place. Oh yeah, that's what I should be pitching. Island Oysters on Bloor. That place is amazing. The guy's from PEI. Yeah, he's the man. And yeah, check out Island Oysters. Oh yeah, goodbye. We better wrap this up, eh? I have to go back to our set. Let me ask another one at the back. Yeah. Whoa. You know what? I can't even tell. I can't.
Well, I'll ask a question. Earlier you said this film was very personal, and you got the script from someone else. How much did the script change from you getting it to you making the movie?
The original script is on the blacklist, and so you could literally go read the script that was sent to me and see for yourself. It's hard for me to even answer something like that, because when I met Dom, I was like, okay, we need to make this movie about you and and then we proceeded to do so, and so, I wonder, I'll go back and read that original script too, and we can find out together. Okay, yes, yeah, you had your hand up for a while at the front.
Okay, I have two
You
questions.
just want me to sign this?
No, well that, but I also have a question.
Okay.
Well, one, can you sign my DVD?
Yes, I
That's
will.
my first question.
And what's the question?
My second question is, when you were, in Toronto and you were in your 20s and you were figuring out what it's like to make art, were there any places in the city that you found refuge in, community and creating art?
This is a great question. It's about when I was in my 20s, were there places that I found a kind of refuge or anything like that? And you know what? I'm such a shy person, especially at that age, that the answer really is no. It was my friends and I making Nirvana the Band as a web series, and there was no larger group. There's the people I met in film school, but it was probably just because I wasn't brave enough, but there was no place that I knew to go to where there were other young filmmakers. In fact, it was only when Kaz made that movie Tower that I even realized there were other filmmakers in Toronto that I could be friends with. So I think that's very different now. I see groups of young people meeting up, based on their letterbox accounts, or meeting up at TIFF, or going to movies like this, or going to Kaz's screening series, and it seems like it's so different. And now working in movies or being in movies has a kind of cachet that it just didn't have when I was young at all. But something we did have that doesn't really exist now is places like Queen Video and Suspect Video. There were places that you could go and rent movies and really hang out with people. Even the old Beguiling was good for that. And now that's really changed. I think the only video stores left are Bay Street and Eyesore and that's true too. And so I don't know, but I do see something happening now that I wish I could have been a part of, which is that young people seem to all of a sudden collectively care about movies in a way that is extremely invigorating and makes me think that they are going to make important movies that will go way beyond what we had done when we were that age. But time will tell. I would say that while we didn't have that same community, because we didn't know how embarrassing we were, it made us all a lot braver. And I think that actually is a major benefit that my friends and I had, because there was no global world back then. It was just so much smaller, and so making a movie like The Dirties, I think it would be really intimidating and scary to do that now, because it's so embarrassing, and if it doesn't work, I think I literally say, if this doesn't work, it's going to backfire so hard as dialogue in that movie, and now it's even more true. So, I don't know. In fact, this movie, Tony, is kind of about that insecure me, not knowing what to do, trying to fake it, being around older people, being like, God, I really hope they like me, and this is my version of dealing with that. And so no, I didn't have a place like that, but you guys all do. I need to wrap this up, don't I? Yeah, this is over. Thank you everybody for coming. I so appreciate it. I will be back to do this again for a new movie, which you guys will love, Toronto 2015. If you see us in the street, please do not go bother the actors, just walk right by them. But you can come up to us and say hi. Goodbye.
Hell yeah.